Hello Barış.
Hi İrfan
Hello.
Bey. Hi. Thank you for
Hi.
joining. Merhaba.
Selam. Everything okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. How are you doing?
Fine, fine. Now I am on the car.
Okay.
From I am going to from Ankara to Istanbul.
Okay. How many
Oh,
hours do you have more? Okay. Enjoy it.
thank you, thank you. As possible as I am going to follow you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, Barış and everybody.
Wednesday evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Light 'em Up Lounge. Wednesday, our usual time, our usual live stream and show here for everybody joining us on Facebook. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us again for another inspiring and enlightening conversation and session here for our dear friends, regulars, our family, our inner circle here via Zoom. Welcome to the lounge. Thanks for being with us. As always, it's a great pleasure to see everybody. I very much look forward to today's show. Slightly different spin on things. We try to mix things up every now and then, even though we often host the cigar manufacturers, brand owners, tobacco growers. We want to offer different perspectives and different views on the whole world around cigars, cigar enjoyment, cigar lifestyle. And today is such a show where we can, with a more on the one hand, I would say a more philosophical view, but also with a very archaic and natural and real and authentic perspective. Look at cigars and the whole world around it, together with our special guest, who I want to introduce in just a second. Before that, as always, if you have questions, please make yourselves heard over on Facebook underneath the live stream. Just put your thoughts, your questions into the comments. I'm always following the live stream, and I would love to share your thoughts and questions with Baris. And for all of you guys here at the lounge, chime in, make yourselves heard, unmute, hands up, whatever it is. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So without further ado, here is our special guest for tonight, Baris Onal from Archeus. Baris, what a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and welcome to Light 'em Up.
I thank you, Reinhard. Thank you very much for inviting me to this really valuable talk show of yours, which um, adding a really precious value to the cigar culture with yourself and also with the tasks or the contents you are just putting into this show and just informing actually people who have passions for the cigars. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And you hit the nail on the head. And that's what the show is all about, what the show has always been all about. And we continue to keep it that way with great pleasure and pride and gratitude, that we get to bring together so many people from all around the world, from all walks of life, whether it's people from Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, all the way to the US, Central and South America. And you are an extremely well-traveled gentleman as well. I mean, you have a very diverse, multicultural background. You have a broad view and perspective on many things in life, not just the cigar industry. And I feel that is very reflected in the way you think, the way you speak, handle yourself, but also how you interpret business and how you build Archeus and all your other business endeavors. Um, since probably for a lot of folks, tonight's topic, your company and your achievements are a little less familiar than some of the big and well-known globally distributed cigar companies. Why don't you give us a very brief rundown of the nucleus and the essence of Archeus, please, to start with?
Thank you, Reinhard. Actually, my passion with cigars started almost 10, 11 years ago. And I was just a smoker until the pandemic times. And during that time, as all of you know, everything has stopped, yeah, for a time. It was actually kind of not stopping the brains, because now we had a kind of a chance to recover from ourselves, you know, because before that I was working really so hard. Still I'm working hard, but 12 hours, 14 hours in a day is too much, you know. So at least the cigar helped a lot during those times. And then I just slowly I was get into the culture, you know, not just smoking, not just enjoying for 1 hour. Instead, just I see some kind of connection. What's behind this culture, you know, in this a couple of hours or just a time that you're spending with cigar, what kind of things people are thinking, you know, while they are relieving. And behind that, also, this is totally a natural product, you know, it's just connected with the nature, which I'm always creating my projects or creating the main concepts, gathering all from these nature itself, and it's also in a big scale the universe itself, actually, because as in the content text, we are made of stardust, you know, we are just directly connected with the universe. But I think now we are just forgetting this connection. And when I was just staying at home in the pandemic times, and one of my valuable friends here, Mr. Arjan Hazar, and also the other my friend in Çağdaş, told me that, okay, hey, Baris, you have really so many experiences with the design, and why don't you do something with this passion? And I just thought that, okay, why not? Because the architecture project itself is taking so much time, so much effort at the end. And it's not that possible to construct all your designs, you know, because of the cost, because of the physical limits. So I thought that if I can bring all my ideas into this small scale with all my skills, which is really so contemporary, and also just connected to the universe with the main context of the products, I just started to first the tryouts, because I have a nice workshop and I can create anything that I want to because of the technology for today's, yeah. And even I have 3D printers and laser cutters, everything. Then I just try out some products before I told anyone, you know, and it worked very well because I was so fast with designing. And even now I have the next 5 years of products in my hand, you know, all prototypes, but trying to reach a perfection point with them. And slowly I will tell, maybe later on, I will also show some of the products. And then I said, okay, now it's time to connect that to the universe and try to figure out some philosophical backgrounds and some kind of context connected with the nature. And then I found, because it took me 3 months to find a proper name and proper meaning of the name of the company. It's not just a name, it's just the core of the company, actually, core of the products. Because Archeus is just the dance level of the spirit world. which governs the growth and continuation of all living things, first of all, okay? This is what we are, how can I say that? What our souls made of, actually. And the second meaning of Archeus is just fit in another perspective. This is also used to describe the essence of fire, and the fire existing in deep inside the earth. It's crazy, huh? So I was so happy when I found out that. Yeah? Then I just put the name first, Archeus, and build up all the philosophical background under this name. And it worked very well, very fast, and very satisfactory, actually. And so the core of Archeus design concepts is always related to the distant past and at the same time distant future. You know, I'm just traveling around in these two edges of the timeline, actually. And the most exciting intention in my creative process is to bring all these universal values together in an aesthetic form and reflect it into the future. Because none of the products we are using is, we cannot turn the time back. We are always using those products in future, you know. So there should be some kind of ideas or contents that will be survive in future too. So it takes time, you know. It takes time to find out that kind of connections. So it's really satisfactory what I'm reaching now. And also in the other way, in the other perspective, the people's needs and social behaviors are changing, you know. I know that cigar culture is so traditional, but at the same time, as I'm observing, the young generation, you know, also really so into this culture, but their demands are totally different. They need not just the traditional products, even not maybe the traditional cigars. They want something else at the end, you know, because they just born into the new future and their demands are naturally related with the future. So all my designs are just, that's why related with the future by just gaining its philosophical meaning from past. And also the materials I'm using, the technology I'm using is always referring the future, you know. I can just briefly tell the core of the Archeus for now.
And this is very beautiful, Baris. I want to put a little bit of context though to you as a person and as a craftsman and professional also, because originally you are a visionary design architect, and you have a tremendous portfolio, worked with exceptional luminaries of the architectural world, and Archeus being a newer endeavor of yours, sort of merged a lot of fields of interest for you, but also fields of expertise, whether that is architectural background, design background, whether that is also some of the innovation, technology, as you beautifully described. And then, of course, the cigar element. And all of this is somehow amalgamated and merged by the underlying principles that these disciplines, even though they might seem very, very different and you know, completely sort of left field from one another, there seems to be this underlying story and this common ground that they share, which brings them together in a beautiful way. And you're sort of the quintessence of that, and what you do is the quintessence of that. And so I find this very beautiful, but I also wanted to let our viewers know you're an extremely humble person, and you probably wouldn't you know, pat yourself on the shoulder all too much, but what you have accomplished as an architect is already remarkable. And then Archeus also received quite a lot of recognition. It was especially recognized with the Cigar Trophy Awards and Cigar Journal, which is something I wanted to mention. So you know, I want people just to know this and have a little bit of background for all of this. And what you do with Archeus, we see some of the visionary ideas and work actually in your background. But it's a combination of sort of more tangible, accessible accessories for the cigar enthusiast, but also full-blown architectural concepts, either for lounges, for trade show booths. So there's many different worlds and layers to unearth when it comes to your work. And we'll try to dig into some of that today, but I would also like to invite everybody interested in learning more about your work in Archeus to look into your archives, to look onto your website and social channels to learn a bit more, because there's a lot really to learn and unearth. I just see the ashtray which you brought up behind you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this particular piece, which for the cigar enthusiasts joining us is probably the most tangible with Prima Materia and that beautiful series.
Yeah, this is the first product, first design of mine, actually. And I was so influenced by nature, and this came to my mind when I was in Creta, in the islands, which we were spending our holiday times. And the rock formations there are crazy interesting, because I think the best designer in the universe is the nature itself. Because all of these years, slowly, it's just reaching the extreme point of nature itself, And these rock formations just gave me an idea of use that patterns on the rocks, for example, the metals, especially, because I'm really keen to work with the pure materials, not just the artificial materials, the pure materials that we gather from nature itself. And then this prima materia is just bringing the functions of usage, you just put your cigars in this car here, and there's a just stick inside, and that stick just holds this cigar, and there's enough volume inside to keep your ash. And then these are dysfunctional stuff. But the most interesting thing in this product is this is just solid, fetishistic, aesthetical object, actually, which leans forward, which represents the future itself, and leans also to the right, just giving some new perspective to the product, to your thoughts, to your life. Because every angle you look at the product, you see another product, actually. Because of this playing with the perspective of the product, it gives a really so much quality to spend time with it, actually. Because you are spending, as I said, 1 or 2 hours with your friends or alone. And there should be something that fits to your aura at that time, And the prima materia actually means the first material in the universe made of pure aluminum, the block of aluminum. We just engrave it with 5-axis robotics. Just take it out from this metal aluminum block. And another special thing with this aluminum block is it's 60 series of aluminum. This is a technical term, but this 60 series aluminum is used in military, in marines, also in automotive sector, which is used because of its robustness and the stability, and also the resistance to corrosion. That fits all of our needs, actually. And there's a kind of a special pulverized paint on it with the nanotechnology also, and which is resistant to heat and all other kind of natural or unnatural treatments on it. And there are some 4 types of surface I have. and 2 colors. And one is just red with 3 different transparent layers. Then you get the deepness of the surface, and it's really so interesting. And the other 3 black ones are treated differently on the surface. One is just scratched, and the other one is kind of really shiny, and the other one is just kind of pulverized and giving a nice texture when you touch it, actually. And also it kind of absorbs light, and it's really so cool object at the end, yeah. These products are really so important because, and I'm really spending so much everything on these products, from prototyping period to the end period, because the cigar smokers are just spending so much time, so much knowledge on cigars, you know, for their enjoyment. But I see there are not so many products they are using with their cigars in this quality and at that level of how can I say that, they don't care, actually, you know, the most of cigar smokers, but they don't deserve it. They deserve the minimum value of their cigars, and the time with your friends, for yourself, is the most valuable thing. So they have to think that kind of stuff and just enjoying their cigars and the product and the atmosphere. So I'm just putting everything again, you know, just let me stop, please, when I'm talking too much, but it's all not one thing. It's all about the everything.
That's what I actually find fascinating. You know, sometimes when we talk about innovation in the cigar industry, you know, you naturally come to the strain of thought where you think, well, the cigar industry firmly rests on traditional values, on century-old craftsmanship and knowledge that has been passed on from father to son over generations. And then you think, well, innovation might on the surface seem like the antithesis to that, because it's a contradiction. You know, you have the past, you have the tradition, you have the history, and then you're sort of shooting for the stars, and the two don't always seem to come together so nicely. Same with people, you know, you lean more towards the conservative side of things, or you're an innovator and you're so far out with your thoughts that you barely seem to come together. But at the end of the day, that's what you described so beautifully before, is when you look at both ends of the spectrum, the furthest back you can go and the farthest into the future that you can go. Here's where the dynamic happens, and that's the dynamic that you live in and that the Archeus, with all of its design concepts, lives in. And I love the idea that they don't have to be contradictory. Quite the opposite, they can enrich each other in a beautiful way.
Absolutely.
And that's where you sort of found your happy place and your zone where you live and operate in.
Exactly. You told it really, really so nicely, because that was the missing point till now. You know, just to find out this misconnection is really kind of a brilliant time for me at that time. So I just put everything in that niche necessity, I would say. And then I think it's working. It's working very well. Now people are just knowing the need of the precious product on the market. And now it's the interest is getting really so fast. So that's why also there are some kind of demands, you know, after the first product. And that demand was a little bit more practical product, for example. And then let me show it to you. I just came up with...
Allow me to just briefly
please.
dig into that, Barry. Sorry if I interrupt you there, but I'm curious because what you just said. Do you think that functionality contradicts beauty and aesthetics? Or is that also something where you feel the two can actually coexist in a beautiful and meaningful way?
Of course. Look at the nature itself, as I told you before, you know. it's all our life is just in naturally. It's just coming from nature. And when we look at the forest, we say, oh, beautiful. When we look at the mountains, it's beautiful. When we are on the beach and the sea and everything is beautiful, you know, which is connected to the nature. And that's the problem. When we just disconnect from nature, the things are getting uglier.
Yeah. Great point.
The nature did it, you know, just bring the functionality and the beauty together. And why not we can do that? Sure.
I mean,
sure.
one example I always think about when you look at architecture these days, you know, everything seems to be purely focused on functionality and trying to cramp as many people into as small of a place you could possibly fit, for economical reasons, of course. And especially in Vienna, a city that you and we both love dearly and know intimately, a lot of these old buildings, Gründerzeithäuser, you know, they were built for aesthetic reasons and for just beauty in terms of the experience as much as the functionality, which of course was different back in those days. But that seems to be missing in today's architecture, I find. You know, sometimes, of course, if you can afford, if you have the space for it, people will go crazy and absolutely nuts in order to build something that has an artistic value. But we seem to have lost that natural connection of function and form and aesthetics.
You know what? I'm just telling directly the core reason for that. This is just because of the production methods and the production costs. You know, because it's much more easier to build up a kind of a rectangular shaped building. This is so easy and so cheap or so economical for the builders, actually, for the constructors. And they are shaping our world, which is disturbing, actually, because all of these talented architects or talented designers are just educated very well. And then just expectations are really so low. But I tell you a good news, because the production methods are changing. You know, even the cars, you can just follow from the cars, because we are still just using also the same mentality that was used for industrial revolution. You know, so we need another revolution. Actually, it's just not in the middle even, it's the beginning of this revolution of production methods and manufacturing methods. Then in next decades, that will be easier to live in, like more organic, more even, of course, the function will be always there. Otherwise, I mean, you cannot use that space or use that product at the end. But with the change of the product manufacturing techniques, it will be much more effective and much more enjoyable spaces we will, and also the products we will experience soon, very soon. It's just about the production methods, I'll tell you.
That's a positive outlook, honestly, and good to hear. But thanks for your perspective on this. I cut you off before. You wanted to talk a little bit about the evolution of the Prima Materia line and the ashtray.
Yeah, of course. I can just give you another image. Because it's a story of the Archeus, you know, the products. It's, as I said, they're connected to each other. So, in the second phase, I just ended up with this product. You know, it's much more it's much more easy to carry and much kind of have more space, more volume inside. And also, I just bring the color into this series, you know. And the concept, the main concept of this series is the 4 elements, you know, and the water, earth, air, and the fire. And the colors are just changing according to this context. And I added one more product to that, with the colors, of course. It's going to be the limited editions. You can just connect it into the trend of the market, or I just give a little bit playground on that, because I'm really so sticked to my main content, main context, main connection to the universe by using all this archaic philosophy. But in the meantime, I just want to have some fun, and also just fun of just giving some fun opportunity to the users actually. So that's why, for example, in the first series, I added up one pink colored product, and which is really so interesting and which is so nice to have it. And that was the fun part of this series, And it's much more easy. For example, I like that one. Wait. Because it's just, the color of the tobacco also, which is connected directly to the earth. And it's, again, when you are spending time with these products, you will have fun at the end. And again, it is made of aluminum. And again, it is milled by 5-axis robotics. And again, painted. The technique that I'm using to paint with these new products are not just pulverizing the paint on it. Instead, I'm just put them into a chemical process, which the color is just stick and bind it to the material itself, not as a separate surface. It's just getting into the product. So then it's impossible to get this color out, for example. It's robust and it's durable and also long life with the colors. Yeah.
You mentioned it's a chemical process in order to get that color into the actual material.
Yeah, the technology or the treatment called anodizing.
All right. Yeah.
There's a kind of acid in the tanks, and you are giving the plus and minus the electrodes into the product and into the tank, and then during the time it's changing its colors. You just put some extra chemicals in it to get the right color at the end, but it works like that actually.
That's fascinating. When it comes to cigar accessories, I sometimes have a bit of a smile on my face whenever you see a new lighter, a new cutter, or even a new ashtray. You start to wonder. I've been a cigar enthusiast now, in my case, ever since I turned 18, so all of my adult life. And over the time, you collect a few treats here and there, and at some point you start to wonder, how many cutters do I actually need, and how many lighters? I mean, most of the time, since I'm traveling with an airplane so often, your fingernails come in very handy, and it's the cutter you always carry with you. But the important message really is, we care for the finer things in life, and we care for experiences. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a cigar lover to begin with, right? So you want to treat the product with respect, and you want to use beautiful materials and beautifully designed objects in order to show the respect to the cigar, the people who put so much time and energy and love into it. So you don't just torch it away with some stupid lightsaber, but the same is true for all of the accessories, and that's what sometimes makes me smile, because you realize, well, there goes another one. I sure need a new ashtray now. So and in your case, what's even more important is there's a lot of meaning and substance behind it. It's not just an economical proposition where you say, well, let's try and make some money with putting out another collaboration with one of the well-known accessory companies, but let's put some thought, some engineering, some ingenuity and innovation into this, whilst at the same time getting a message across, which I believe is fundamentally important. And that's what for me, Archeus does in a beautiful way.
Absolutely, you're right. That's the point that I want to catch. Also I want to provide to cigar lovers actually to look their enjoyment in a different perspective, with their products using in this limited time actually. They deserve it. They deserve it.
Very good point. Now, you mentioned that you're working on a couple of new ideas and you have products in the pipeline for the next couple of years. How much of that can you share, or which are some of the things that you could share and would like to share with us in terms of where the journey may lead you, besides what we see behind you on the screen?
Of course, this is going to be one of the Archeus masterpiece. This is called the Vault. It's the humidor. But humidor with having really cutting edge technology inside, because there is no any other products on the market which has this kind of technologies inside. There will be kind of sub-series of this product at the end, but it's going to be totally embedded with kind of sensors inside, which is just always checking the inside humidity, temperature, and then just giving this information to your cell phone with the connection with an app at the end. Then you are always informed about the conditions in your humidor. And at the same time, this is going to be really so informative with the lights on the edge under the vault, because the lights will change according to the condition inside the humidor, for example. And also the material, I'm working on also some surfaces and the materials. I have already 5 different prototypes. And now the other very big surprise is coming, because we are working with an Italian company. They are really so professional on this furniture design, and also really interesting material they have. Now I would say to my friends here, in the maybe second half of or end of, it takes time, as I said, but till the end of this year, people have that opportunity to use a product from 8,000 years before.
Wow.
Because we are working with a special wood, which is called the fossil oak, and this is just digged out from past, and you can just use the fossil oak between the years 2,000 years ago and 8,000 years ago. It's really amazing to use this wood combined with this technology with future. And it will be a really so interesting product at the end.
Beautiful. When you think about a humidor, Baris, do you think about the exterior, the design component, and the materials that you want to showcase on the outer surface? Or do you also start to reverse engineer or think about how could the inside of a humidor be done differently? Because so far there seems to be sort of a consensus that the traditional inside outfitting of a humidor is quite similar in most ways, even though the design might be different, whether it's a walk-in humidor in a retail or in a lounge or even at somebody's home. You would have your traditional humidification device fueled with water, with distilled water, and then you have cedar lining on the shelves and the walls. But so my question is, do you just think on the outside as to how you could present it differently, or do you also think about the inside, or is that where you rely on traditional humidor manufacturers or people who are in that game to work with them, and you take care of the outside?
Yeah, the most important thing is it's not changing. Keeping your cigars, keeping your valuable cigars at the most proper conditions. This is fixed. And the other is just about your perspective to the material, to the shape, to the any other things. Just keeping the conditions in a proper way requires some kind of course, treatment, you know. And in this case, we are now embedding kind of two systems. One is passive humidification system inside by using kind of pads, but we are trying to find out another exciting way to use them. And the second is the active humidification system, you know. Now we are just developing a kind of technology with my nerd friends. This is totally addicted with technology and just they're coming from culture. I'm working with Nikola Tesla's, you know, I would say that. So, of course, from the design to this technological stuff, we are always getting our patents. So it takes also time. That's why it's getting a little bit time-consuming thing. But at the end, we will have really cutting-edge technologies. And so keeping these proper conditions is the usage is kind of similar with the traditional, you know. You have to just give it humidity inside a little bit and keeping the temperature proper. That's okay. With the experience of the buildings, the conditions of the buildings at any terms, just giving me kind of a control of thinking everything at the same time. With this scale, it's really easy for me. So it's not kind of a step-by-step development. In my case, I can just think it at one time, you know, the condition, the shape, the technology, everything at the same time. So this gives me a kind of an advantage to create all these products in a proper way. And I can just thinking about the modification, and at the same time, the design is just reshaping itself in my mind. Yeah. Then, okay, everything is, and I'm totally working in digitally. And then, okay, I have to see it. And I'm not going a factory and just waiting their time schedule, and it's not working like that. Instead, I have, as I said, my workshop. I created in the computer, 3D-dimensional, and just send it to 3D printer or the workshop to another machinery. And then it's a couple of hours later, then I see my product in my hands, you know. Then I see the failures, I see the things that not fitting to the design or content or the functionality, and change it again, change it again, and until I reach the perfect moment of it's really so it's an enjoyable time when I see that end product on my desk after several prototyping. And then I said, okay, now it can go to the manufacturing.
I think it's sometimes you know, beyond our imagination if we're not involved in such a process as to how long these things might take from the initial idea and the concept along the visualization all the way to realizing that thing. It's a tremendous journey. How often do you tweak these things? Like, is it more that you have an idea, you stick with it, you execute, and at the end it's sort of the exact same thing that you had in mind when you began? Or are you more of a, you know, tweaking and tuning 20, 30, 100 different times in order to get to where you really want to be?
I would say from design to the first prototype, I need just kind of weeks, a couple of weeks. It will be enough for me. But then, and the most time-consuming part of the story begin after the first prototype, because I can create the first prototype myself and tweak it a little bit, and then finding the right material, finding the right manufacturer, finding the right treatments on the surface or the details, you know, that takes time actually. Then I would say not weeks, then the months I need, you know, at least 5 to 6 according to the details on the product. for example, with this humidor, we have been working almost 1 year, because the thing is, as we said before, the market is also traditional. When you need a proper hinge or the hinge system, for example, and you cannot buy any hinge from the closest market and then put it into your humidor as the others actually do. We are producing every detail of the product, and the thing is, it's not easy to find the proper manufacturers who can deal with it, because some of them are really so economical and they said, okay, we cannot work on that because it takes so much time. And some of them are saying, okay, this is really so fitting our also the philosophy of manufacturing something, then they even spend so much time on that to bring it to the perfection.
With something like the Vault, is this a very limited product run that you're looking at, or is it something that can also scale, or where you say, well, we would love to share this with people all around the world and go into an enlarging production?
Of course, I mean, for now, I'm just trying to keep kind of a limited level because the costs are really so high, and I don't want to make it really so because you don't have so many choices. You have to use really so cheap materials, easy finding materials, and then that kind of disturbs the quality of the idea at the end. So I have to find the purest material for the product, for the design, and that's why also it's hard to find those kind of materials easily. So for the moment, we are just keeping it in a kind of not limited, I wouldn't say that, but not thousands of products. So also I think that keeps the value of the brand at the end, and I want to stay at that level because there are not so thousands of people who can buy that product, at the end. I'm not talking about the cost wise. I'm just talking about it's not so many people who thinks that I need that product because I deserve that quality. I like the idea, and this idea is just connects me to the product. That kind of conceptions, I would say.
Yeah,
that's
it's
why
more of a love product where you really need to have a connection with it, and it's not something you just buy.
No.
When you walk by, it's something that requires a bit more of a even philosophical understanding.
Let me tell you a story. One of the events in Austria, it was in Austria. I was just promoting my products, okay, and then one guy came to me and said, okay, you are the owner of this company. Yes, you are the designer. Yes, I'm the designer. I'm designing. And what are you doing? I'm doing that and that and that. And then he said, okay, now I understand, because there should be someone who is really skillful behind this product. And then he just bought the product there, because he was just waiting for that. He was just waiting to meet me, the guy who is behind this product and brand. I was so happy with that. It was the first time that my expectations from market actually fits very well. There are lots of people are seeking this kind of connection with the products. That was so nice.
Baris, from your experience, do you feel that in different cultures or in different geographies, your message comes across differently, or that there's more appreciation for what you do and what you try to bring to the cigar enthusiast in certain markets? Or would you say that that's overly simplistic if you try to look at that? Reason I bring it up, just to sort of share the analogy, is oftentimes people would argue on the manufacturing side, people have a different palette in the US market for cigars compared to the European cigar tradition, for example, mostly based on exposure to products, or because people think that, after smoking Cuban cigars for decades, you're in a different state of mind, or your palate is just triggered differently than if you're used to non-Cuban cigars in the US. I'm not saying that I buy into that theory, but just if you think that the same could be applied to architecture, design, or the realms that we're looking at with your products.
Actually, it is totally personal. It's not about the culture. It's not about the location or geography or the the local approach. It's nothing about. It's nothing about that. It's just about the personalities. Actually, it's just you look at it and you say, "I want it because I deserve it." That was it. Because without the design itself is catching eye, it's sure. And then when they just get into the story of that, then that's done,
Just to also make our viewers understand a little bit, how can people find some of your products? Where are they available? How about distribution? Or can people just, call you up, write an email, and order from wherever they are around the world? Or just on the more technical aspect, how does that work for you?
Now, at the moment, it's a really new startup. So at the moment, we are just fully servicing the European area. And now we are going to collaborate in the MENA region. They will find in the second half of the year. And the US market is totally different because they need a huge amount of operational ability there, and I know most of the cigar consumers are just located in the United States. So I'm just developing the financial part, the management part of the company a little bit more. I did that development. And then the US market will be totally a different operation. So I'm sorry for that, but the US aficionados must wait a little bit longer for that,
It's always good to have something to look forward to. So
yeah, thank you.
No worries about that.
And it's available from our online shop, and as well as we have a special program. As you feel, I'm just trying to not expand so fast. That's why we created a kind of special program like Archeus Premium Shops. In the major cities, only 3 cigar shops can will be available in only these 3 shops because they are going to be registered as the Archeus Premium Shops, and then the consumers will go there and they can buy it here. And
what are some of the traits that you're looking for when selecting these shops, or what's sort of the selection process that you're looking at in order to find the right people for Archeus?
Yeah, when you are traveling, you feel it. You go to I'm traveling a lot, and then I'm just go any shop and first look the relationship between the consumers, the cigar lovers, and the owner of the shop actually. Because I'm not the guy to go to any shop or any cigar lounge and just smoke my cigarettes and then leave there. There should be kind of strong communication with the people there, not the people just smoking and enjoying their cigars, also the people who are just serving to this precious moment of their clients. So I'm just trying to not judge, but evaluate that kind of relationship between the client and the shop owner, actually. And I would say there are not so many shops like that. They are just seeing you as a consumer. There are not so many communication in between. But it's not kind of there are worst and there are best. actually. And I want to work with the best, as they do, actually.
Yeah. And as you said, I think oftentimes it's a very personal thing also, where you walk inside and you feel there's a connection, or there's meaning and a sense of belonging. And that's how, oftentimes the most beautiful partnerships and relationships happen, because there's this natural connection where, this is the right thing, this is the right place.
Yeah, exactly. The mood of the people, when you enter the shop or the lounge, and immediately people just starting to talk with you. It's really so fun, actually. You feel really so comfortable, because in these kind of lounges or shops are really kind of spatial locations, just isolated outside, and just people are just leaving their thoughts, leaving their everything outside, and just getting some kind of a special time. So they deserve.
One other thing that I'm very curious about is, what with your eye, with your experience in architecture and design, what are your thoughts when you walk into a typical cigar lounge, whether that is in old Europe or in the United States? There's a particular style and vibe, at least I think, you could associate with a traditional tobacconist or a cigar lounge these days. Um, how does that strike you as an architect and as a visionary when you walk into those places? Do you have a mindset where you go into checking mode, where you recognize every single detail and you think about, we could do a little tweak here and there and trying to optimize the place? Or is it also where you can lean back, relax, and just let things be?
To be honest, I'm always doing the second thing, because I'm totally respectful to the shop owner at that manner, because you have no idea about the economical part of the management or this business, So the first thing I'm looking for is, first, communication, and secondly, the respect to the design of the shop. It could be kind of a traditional one, but in a good way, and it could be a really so futuristic one, which I haven't seen so many. But as I said, now with the changes in the market, and also the cigar smokers, it will be much more important to give them kind of new experiences in the space they are enjoying.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm also bringing this kind of ideas in the umbrella of Archeus. I have these Archeus interior concepts, and they are also so interesting. If you want, I can just send it to my bag. For example, that one. It's just started with the concept of the smoke itself. How can I reflect that smoke to the space? You are smoking, of course, but it should reflect also to the part of the space. That's why I'm developing this kind of surfaces in my design, actually. This is one of my first design, and it's called Morphe. It's the idea was just the fluidity of the smoke, actually, and also it represents the transformative nature of life that I put into this concept. And I want to provide a sophisticated and comfortable setting for cigar lovers at the end, and they can find their comfort, they can find their communication with other people, and also enjoy the space, which is totally different that they experienced before.
What are the key attributes that, in your opinion, make a good cigar lounge great? Or to frame it differently, what could most of the tobacconists or lounge operators focus on maybe a little more, or try to improve, in order to take the experience to a whole new level?
At first level, I would say the air conditioning. Even we are smokers, after a level of smoke density, it just shortens our enjoyment, I would say. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
That's why there should be a kind of a really well done air conditioning. Clean air, a little bit wind, just taking this dense smoke away from your space. And the second would be the light, because you are going there just for relaxing, and the lighting design, it should be also designed, should give you the whole maximum comfort, that you enjoy your time, even you extend your time in there, And of course, the furnitures, there should be kind of not just one furniture or one seating group. There should be kind of a groups for just people who are just enjoying smoking with their own friends, or you go there and just enjoy yourself. So there should be kind of a group of different seating options, for example, I would say. And if it's possible, it would be really good to find out some drinks there, and that brings also kind of a special preparation zones for these drinks. And of course, it will change season to season, but that would be good to have a fire next to you, or kind of a good view of any sea view or mountain view, depending on the location. You have to also reflect what's out, if you have that quality, not really. Even a cityscape can be a good view when you're smoking, actually.
I very much enjoyed the fact that you brought up the holistic aspect. With my background in the hospitality industry and experiential design, when creating food and beverage concepts or other customer journeys for various brands, I always wanted to make people understand that we care deeply about the product and maybe the service component, but to really take the entire experience into consideration, it's like it's like a symphony where all the various instruments need to they need to play together nicely in order to create that wonderful sound. And oftentimes people care about their inventory and the humidor, but then if the lighting sucks and you have 10 different TV screens blasting at you with 10 different sports events, it'll alter your experience, and it'll even change the way you perceive, the way you smell and taste your cigar. So the same cigar in this shop and in that shop will not taste the same because of the surrounding elements. And I think ever so often people lose track of that, or don't pay enough attention. For the upcoming Cigar Journal issue, I wrote an article about sound design and acoustics in cigar lounges, because it's one of those integral aspects that will make for a holistic experience, right? And it's definitely something that is often overheard, most literally in the sense of the word, because it's not the thing itself, right? But that's where I would love for people to focus their attention on as well, in order to really create that holistic experience that will differentiate a good place from a great place.
Exactly. Well said. Most of the smokers actually doesn't know that, because they just they feel the disturbance, but they cannot name it. That's our job, actually. That's our job.
That's an excellent point, and you're 100% right. As a consumer or a guest, you shouldn't even worry about that. But I used to bring up that analogy as well, so it's easy for everybody to understand. The moment you walk into a restaurant, a bar, or a hotel, you either feel at home and you feel comfortable, or you don't.
Exactly.
And it's a subconscious realization that is heavily impacted and influenced by all these different elements. And as a normal guest or consumer, you don't really feel that. And you couldn't put your finger on it as to why is it that I feel more comfortable here than in this other place. But it will most definitely affect your decision as to where do you take your business and where do you go. And it's our job behind the scenes to engineer the experience so that you walk in and naturally you feel at ease and you feel at home.
Exactly, exactly. You know, it's one of the part of the culture that should be developed. Till this time, I haven't seen that kind of touches to this part of the culture actually.
Mhm.
And I believe that this culture needs to pay attention to this kind of approaches or perspectives. And it's not about economics, or it's not about the cost. You know, there are lots of cigar shops or lounge owners who have enough capital, but actually they just not searching for the new perspectives. You know.
Yeah.
So that's really so important, and to bring these ideas to the market actually.
How do you think that Arceus could play a vital role in that? Or how do you feel that your ideas and concepts and designs can, even though maybe slowly, but trickle into the culture and spread into the premium cigar world more?
Actually, first of all, these investors, let me say, should know these kind of perspectives, the presence of these kind of perspectives. And I'm really so thankful that you gave me that chance to present those kind of perspectives. You know, not only for myself, for our Arceus, also I'm sure that there are lots of entrepreneurs who wants to bring some new ideas, not on cigar business, because there are several guys, expertise who tries really so hard, especially in the non-Cuban brands. You know very well. And I'm really so respectful for those guys. But at the same time, in the other part of the market, or in the other part of the culture, let me say, the products or the spaces should be also developed, should be also search for new approaches, new perspectives, and to carry this culture into the future. Otherwise, we are going to spend our times in these really unconditional and uncomfortable spaces, and at the end, we will forget it, you know.
Mhm.
Even in some countries, especially in Europe, because of the smoke ban, you cannot find any places to smoke in. But then it's much more important now, because you cannot go everywhere. But if you go somewhere, you have to get the most maximum comfort in those spaces. You know, and this is so important. This is so important, and that needs a little bit looking in different perspectives. And there should be also guys like me, like Arceus, who can serve, who can provide all these services with their own expertise and experiences, which I can easily do that because
When it comes to, sorry, please continue.
Because I was always dealing with scales of 100,000 square meters, you know. So now it's this kind of scale is much more doable for me, much more easier and much more faster, you know, by using again the right manufacturing techniques, you know, not the ordinary or traditional techniques. You cannot build it, for example, up with these traditional techniques. And the good thing is this new age manufacturing techniques are getting much more affordable. You know, you are not looking at spaceship here. You are just looking at new perspective. No,
So
in my background.
when somebody is interested in setting up such a concept together with you, do you operate as a full service provider, or do you try to establish certain example lounges, if that makes sense, or certain showrooms where you put a Morphe lounge in there so people can experience it? Or is it really something where, a lounge operator comes to you and says like, I would like to do something differently, help me, and let's create something special?
Actually, who is coming to us, to Archeus, has already started to look in a different perspective. It's true. That makes the things easier, first of all. And the second is we are developing all the parts of the project together, you know. Not I'm just taking myself away and okay, this is our project and you build it or not. This is not our approach. First, you have to understand the quality of the location, quality of the business there, and also the profile of the consumers, actually. Then you can provide the right philosophy and right materials and right spaces, actually, at the end. And most generally, it depends some parameters, but I would love to do that turnkey solutions at the end, because we need to have overall control. Again, it's just depending on our main concept, which is this is all connected.
But I can imagine it becomes relatively complex quite easily and quickly because you're looking at all sorts of different materials and where you need to work with different partners or subcontractors in order to outfit and to deck out that whole concept, right?
True. That's why it's depending on the location, you know. It should be kind of course, not the most expensive launch on the world. That's why to kind of control the costs, you can provide or you can supply some materials or some manufacturing abilities of the location. It's so important because it's total digital. I can send kind of design to, I don't know, to Colombia or to Dubai. And you know, and if there's a rights or proper manufacturers there, producers, then they can build it. They can build it. And I don't need to carry all stuff from my manufactured locations.
Absolutely. Baris, let's take a bit of a look into the future, almost as what we started with. When you look at Archeus, where it started, where it is today, and what it hopefully could be in the next couple of years or a decade, what are some of the plans and the vision that you have for this project to grow into?
Yeah, we are now, of course, want to increase the number of the product series, first of all, putting increasingly cutting-edge technologies in it, because every day we are experience or hearing new kind of technologies, and it makes me so excited to, okay, for example, if I hear kind of new technology to keep the conditions inside, I'm just get that idea and trying to implement to our products, for example. Or if there's a kind of a new material, then I'm trying to find a way to implement into our design. And in the future, probably we are going to be more connected digitally to the products, and also the totally different shapes design-wise we can bring it on consumers' desks. Yeah, this is so important. So again, it's totally about the philosophy and the manufacturing techniques at the end, and to keep of course, the costs and at a proper level, of course.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Baris, you've offered us so many wonderful ideas and insights, and I hope that many people will rewatch the show or give it you know a bit of time of their time and think about the beautiful aspects and the philosophical thoughts that you shared with us. I think it's very important, and I think the cigar industry and the cigar culture, the cigar community needs some fresh blood every now and then and some ingenuity. And again, I keep coming back to that point that we discussed earlier, where the tradition and the innovation can be such a beautiful dynamic, and they can build up such a creative tension that allows both of them to come together in a beautiful way, and new things can be born out of this. And so I really hope that a lot of people will take away from this session a bit of curiosity and a thirst and hunger for new ideas and innovation. And I please just maybe tell us a little bit about the images you just showed in the background, so that people can see it before we wrap up the show today, and leave everybody with a parting thought.
I don't need to tell each of the images, to be honest, because if you feel something, that if you connect directly to the images that I'm showing and slowly in background, that's so important. If you find something interesting and if it makes kind of a curiosity, then they can really easily to contact me and get more ideas or more information about what we can create for future, actually, in terms of their needs and in terms of the consumers' demands, actually, I would say.
What is the one thought that you would like to have people leave the lounge with today? What's the thought or the idea and the concept that you would like to plant into people's mind?
Yeah, as we discussed, it's just about they have to find a kind of new perspectives into the future. Otherwise, there won't be any future for them, actually, I would say. Because it's changing so fast. You can enjoy, for example, in 20 years ago, you can enjoy a kind of one comfort zone that you think that it's my comfort zone for till the end of your life. No, it's not working like that anymore. There are lots of opportunities, lots of new qualities that we should experience. Then we have that kinetic energy, which gives us more fun, more enjoyment, more comfort when we are living our lives. And as it says, it's just one life, and we have to really appreciate that, first of all, and take advantage if there are some guys like us to bring that ideas and perspectives in their lives, actually.
An experience to the fullest. I couldn't think of a better way to end our show, Baris. It's been delightful and really inspiring to have you with us. Thank you very, very much for everything that you shared with us, for all the beautiful creative energy that you put into the cigar world. And I wish you and your team and your fellows tremendous success. And I look forward to sharing a cigar with you soon and talk a bit more about philosophy and life and design. It's very enlightening. And again, thank you for what you do. It's much needed, I think, and truly an enriching aspect for the cigar world, cigar community, and the culture. Many, many thanks.
Thank you very much. I first thank all the fellows there spending this most valuable timeline of their evening for today. And I'm really respectful to you that you bring these new perspectives into this culture. Thank you, Reinhard. Thank you, fellows.
It's our pleasure and privilege, Baris. Many, many thanks. Thanks for everybody's time and participation today. It's greatly appreciated. I hope to see all of you again next week. Same time, same station here. We'll talk about Costa Rica. We'll talk about IGM next week. So please join us then with Aaron Ortiz Martinez. And until then, light them up and all the very best. Thanks for today. Thank you, Baris.
Thank you. Thank you, Reinhard. Thank you, fellows.